nobody's really asked, but maybe because you already knew that I was going to do this, okay? Mr. Santos, why are you putting funny little lines over certain letters? And when you've been writing questions, why are you putting like those weird symbols? Espanol uses certain symbols and certain signs that obviously we don't in English. Okay, now we will deal with the accent marks. Okay, there are actually three main purposes for accent marks in Espanol, and as the semester goes on, I will show you and I will teach you, where to put marks. Okay, but also, if you want to get ahead of the curve, remember, just go to Brightspace, and I do have a video that explains not only how to do it electronically, but also some of the reasons why we actually have them, okay? But, numero uno, and this is the main reason, is pronunciation, okay? Now, I kind of have to give you just un poquito bit of background, okay? Both Spanish and English, okay, Inglés y Español, have a certain rhythmic pattern to it when you speak, and you put stress on one part of a word and less stress on another, or, things like that, okay? So for example, one of those words is address, one of them is address, okay? Now, in English, we don't use symbols to distinguish, okay? But in one of those, we're putting stress on the front part of the word, address, and on the other one, we're putting it at the last part, address, okay? What is an address? And what's address? Or? Yeah, to talk, to speak, you're addressing, okay? So yeah, okay? Now, if English were more like Spanish, we'd put little marks somewhere so you knew where you're going to put stress, okay? Well, in Español and in Inglés, we just know, okay? It's one of those things, you just know where you're supposed to, I know it's Connor, not Connor, or something like that, or Lexi instead of Lexi, we just know where to put the stress, okay? Now, in Spanish, whenever there's a word that doesn't follow the natural pattern, we put an accent mark to show that you need to put extra emphasis on that, okay? So in Espanol, my first name is Roman, okay? Without it, it's literally just almost like English, Roman, okay? You would be putting stress right here, okay? Now, that's the word for Saturday in Espanol. Some of you, when you see that for the very first time, will want to say sábado, okay? And that's okay-ish, because that is the natural rhythm of both English and Spanish. Normally it would be sábado, but this word breaks the rule. And so because it breaks the rule, sorry, this is bothering me. Because it breaks the rule, we're putting stress here instead of right here. So what is this word? It's not sábado. Sábado. Okay, sábado. So whenever you see a mark, you put stress. You put extra okay? Some of you might want to say telefono. It's not telefono, it's teléfono. Teléfono. Okay? So whenever you see a mark like that, okay, you're going to put extra stress, extra emphasis, okay? Now, but Mr. Santos, how do I know? You just kind of learn it as you go through, and there are some rules, but I hate the rules. They're stupid, Okay, they're kind of hard to understand. Okay, so Senor Santos cheated when I was younger, when I was learning this. Okay, just as an FYI, okay, here's how I cheated. Every word that ends in ION always has an accent mark on the O. Always. No exceptions. Okay? So when you're writing words out and you're like, ooh, it ends in ION. Okay? Just draw a little line. All right? And there you go. The word después, which means later or after, always has a mark over the E. Always. Always. Okay? No exceptions either. Okay? And there's a couple more like this, and I'll point them out. And so I started by just remembering, kind of like remembering how to spell a word. I just, yeah, the E will always have a line over it, and boom. Okay? Now, like I said, there are certain rules, and we can get into that later in the semester. But for now, I just want you to know that when you see a mark, you're going to put extra emphasis. Okay? So this is not telefono. All right, this is teléfono. Okay, let me give you one more. Some of you will want to say lápiz, but what is that word? Louder, Aiden.
Lapis.
Lápiz, yes. Anyone know what a lápiz is? No, that's lapis.
Oh.
That's in English, en español. Some of you might have one right now. You're using it to write with.
A pencil.
Ah, pencil, gracias. Oh, and perfect. You even have a yellow one. All right, so pencil. Lápiz is pencil. Okay? So numero uno, pronunciation. All right? Numero dos. There's actually, like I said, 3 reasons. Numero dos. Homonyms. Okay? Now, let's test your English knowledge. What's a homonym? No? Words that sound alike, but mean different things. So, two, there. Okay? Oh my God, I can't think of any more. But those were the English ones.
Yours.
Oh, gracias, your and your. Okay? Which and which. Okay? Thank you. Gracias. All right? Now, en español, at least in English, y'all have the decency to spell them differently, even though they sound the same. Okay? Like there and there. Okay? And there. Okay? But they're spelt differently. En español, our homonyms are spelt the same and they sound the same. The only way to distinguish is by these little accent marks. So, I'll give you the ones that you're going to encounter in Español Uno. Okay? You've already kind of done one. Tú with an accent mark. We've already done this. What's tú? You, gracias. Yeah, say it louder. You're okay. You. Okay? Versus tú with no accent mark. That means your. But the Y-O-U-R, your. Okay? The possessive. All right? So I can say to Lexi, me gusta, I like tu libro. Okay? I like your book. Okay? But I would say to Aiden, I forget. Aiden, gracias. Tú, eres, grande. You're big. Okay? So you. Okay? Okay? The next one. Okay? El versus el. El with an accent mark is he. Okay? El without an accent mark is the word the, but the masculine form of the word the. We actually have a feminine form too. Okay? So, el versus el. Okay? The last one, because there's actually a lot, hay muchos, but for Español Uno, you only need 3, or you're only going to see 3. Okay? C with an accent mark. Any ideas? C?
Yes.
So yes, you know, or that yes, that's your answer?
Well,
Okay, muy bien. And you got it. Okay, this means yes. Okay. C with no accent means if. All right. So, number one, pronunciation. Number two, to distinguish between homonyms. Okay, words that sound alike and in Espanol look alike, all right, but mean totally different things. Okay, now there's actually a couple others, but truthfully, we're not going to encounter them in Espanol Uno. Okay. Before I become a liar, let me think real quick. Yeah, no, we're not. Okay. The last reason, número tres, for whatever reason, okay, question words, interrogatives, who, what, where, why, how, okay. So for example, the word K, which means what, takes an accent mark over the E, okay. When you're using it as a question, okay, if you're using it as a statement, like, I know what you're thinking, no accent mark. But if I were to say, Connor, what are you thinking? Then I would put an accent mark on it. I know, Spanish is fun that way. Okay? So when you're using, and we're actually gonna, it's like the last thing we're gonna look at, those 5, 6 interrogatives, who, what, when, where, why, okay? When you use them as questions, you put accent marks on them. In addition to that, not only do your questions end with a question mark, but they begin with an upside down and flipped around question mark. Okay? So if you forget this, technically you've spelt it wrong. I mean, you're not using proper grammar. It's like forgetting a period or a comma or a question mark. It's improper pronunciation. Punctuation, sorry, lo siento. Okay? So you need it for correct punctuation. Okay? And yeah, maybe not in this chapter, but in the next one I am going to start being, a jerk about it. All right? So yeah, your questions need to start with that, and of course, boom. Okay? Now, if you're spelling something out, okay, so